my region. You know what it is. It's the highest host, Adam Mill. And we got an amazing show today. Someone who's been growing for 4 decades, 40 years in the Mendocino area. Got a whole family farm, sustainable, but his daughters are learning about growing it and the earth, and they're trying to do their best to provide the best sun-grown cannabis for us out here. And I'm talking about the one, Phil Cruz. Phil Cruz with Mendocino Family Farms. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming. You look so just like chill and content and relaxed and peaceful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, when you're on the farm, you're the most relaxed, anywhere else, so we love it here.
Are you consuming too? I know you grow it. Do you consume your product as well?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a consumer since 1970. And
Let's go.
The main reason. Yeah, the main reason I got into it is to smoke, and I've always grown herb for, what I want to smoke,
So it says that are you from Mendocino originally? Your family?
No, I'm from Santa Cruz, but my parents, when I was really young, like sixth grade, they got a divorce, and my mom moved up to Humboldt County, a place called Hoopa. It's an Indian reservation, on northeastern Humboldt County. So I spent a lot of time hanging out up there.
Okay. And then where was your first experience with cannabis? Was it on your mom's side or your dad's side?
Well, it was actually my sister in 1971.
Ooh.
My sister. Yeah. Yeah, it was my sister. She started hanging out with the surfer guy in Santa Cruz in the early 70s, and my parents were divorcing, so I spent a lot of time hanging out with her and her boyfriend, and he was like way ahead of his time in cannabis. I didn't know it at the time. He told me a couple years later, but he was big smuggling weed from Colombia, smuggling weed from Mexico, and he and his two buddies brought up some of the Colombian gold and actually started growing that up in Santa Cruz, and that's where the purple haze came from. These three surfer guys.
They were surfing. Yeah. Did they go down to like Colombia to go surf and ride the waves, or they go down there to get these like strains?
Well, absolutely. They would definitely go surfing, but their main objective was to smuggle Colombian gold, and it was mainly from Mexico. They went down to Mexico in the late 60s. And started working with farmers down there because the packaging that the Mexicans were doing were terrible. So they went down there and hung out. They went down there and hung out on some farms and started teaching the guys how to package it. And they started packaging it in trash can compactors in these 25-pound blocks. So when he came home from Mexico with that stuff, it was like green bud, dude. It was not, instead of being only like $80.
The real brick weed.
Yeah, but it was 25-pound blocks.
So it wasn't like a cedar. What? That's not a brick. That's like a cedar, dude. That's like a fucking.
Yeah, it's like 2 feet tall, or 1 foot to 2 feet tall, and about 1 foot wide, and it held like 25 pounds of like the killer, totally seeded but resiny green buds.
And then they would bring that up to Humboldt,
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And then from there, so go ahead.
So they started talking to me about the cannabis culture from day one. I was 14 years old. By the time I was 16, they let me in on the whole gig. One day I was up there and I told them that I had some plants in my girlfriend's backyard. And the first advice he gave me was, well, make sure you get rid of the males. I was like, what? There's males and females. So like that was like 1973, I learned about Sinsemilla.
What?
And so it's stuck with it for some, I think when you're that age, and there's an older person, especially you don't have like a dad in your life much, you kind of listen and respect, and that really like went deep inside me, and it hasn't left to this day. I mean, the way he taught from day one, it was all about organically, sustainably growing.
So your
So, I
sister's
had no
boyfriend.
idea. Yeah, my sister's boyfriend, she ended up marrying him. So
That's
they
awesome.
were a couple for quite a long time, and then some issues happened, and I lost track of what happened to Michael. But yeah, it was quite the experience. He taught me, the real culture of cannabis. So
And
it kind of just continued.
is
It
that
just
like when you
continued
fell in
on my
love with
life.
cannabis? Was that like
That's when.
once you started that, were you like, all right, like this is what I want for the rest of my life? Or was little Phil like, yo, I'm gonna be a fireman, or I'm gonna be a farmer, or I'm gonna be like, what? Was that the
No,
moment
I
that?
didn't really. I really didn't know what I was going to be, but my grandparents and their parents are farmers, so farming is in definitely my family's DNA. And so, once I got like what it was 1970, 78, my mom moved up to Hoopa, and we would spend Christmas with her up there, and that's where the connection to Humboldt came. I started hanging out with some Native American kids, and they were taking me up like during Christmas holiday up to these hippies' house. They were like white hippies, not Native Americans, and they were growing. Believe it or not, they were growing Kush. That
Ooh,
was like that was in 1977, man. But I think
so
the main reason it stuck me so hard because in Santa Cruz, these three servers, they showed me the purple haze uh, flowers, and it was the most beautifulest full blue. They were like blue almost flowers, and it just like, oh my God, it was like the most beautifulest woman you ever seen in your life to me.
right,
That's what it was. I was like, oh my God, this when I
yes.
showed, they gave me some of that to go home with. I showed it to my friends at school, and they were like, they didn't even know it was cannabis, dude. They're like,
Like,
what
what
is
is
that?
this from
Yeah,
space?
it was. I
So
was like,
you
this is
were,
$200. This is $200 an ounce. That's what it's. What I was like, this is what this is, and we were buying bags for $10.
yeah, and back then that was 200
So I was
ounces.
like, these are
Yeah, that's
yeah,
money.
200 an ounce. That's the first weed that, down in the Bay Area. That was the first Sinsemilla that anybody where I lived, because I moved down to the Bay out of Santa Cruz, and no one I ever knew even knew what Sinsemilla was until this book came out called Sinsemilla Tips. And it was like the middle 70s or late 70s. And then that showed it was a picture book, and that showed
Right.
everybody the whole scene. And that's when it blew up in California after that book came out.
And you were already growing, you already like were you just planting
Well,
seeds in the backyard and watering or what were how
yeah,
was
we were just we were just planting. We just had a couple Colombian gold seeds. The thing about they never finished. We didn't even know. Like we were smoking the leaves, man. We didn't even know there was going to be a flower. But the thing about the Colombian is like it didn't finish out. In Northern California, it won't flower back then. It wouldn't
It
flower.
just
It's
kept
just like the
growing?
days the days were too long. And then the girlfriend's mom is the one that told us to get rid of it. So we never
Yeah, it
even
just
really
kept.
saw the flowers.
So when you're growing the Colombian gold and like the hazes, I'm sure those plants are tall and stringy and just growing all wild,
Yeah,
and then you go up and you're seeing this kush, and those plants are probably completely different in characteristics. Are they
yeah. I
more
didn't
like
really get to
short?
see. I didn't see those plants first, but they were definitely. It was definitely an indica strain that they had up there. Now that I know what the differences are, but the purple haze. It took till 1976 for those guys to actually have a real crop, and it didn't finish out till Christmas. And being
Yeah.
Santa Cruz has got a lot better environment, and it's way more south than Humboldt County, so it did finish there.
It's all about the sun and the light and letting these plants live their best life to grow the
Yeah,
best flower they can
and
possibly create.
exactly, and it's the how long the days. If the days are way long, that sativa is not going to. It's going to take long. That's the main reason that the Indicas, the Afghani, and the Pakistani. That's the main reason that seed made it to Humboldt's, because there's places in those countries that's the same latitude as Humboldt County.
Right.
So when they
And is
brought
that
that
why?
seed over it, they brought that
I
seed over
noticed.
and it adapted. Go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like when they brought that seed over from Afghanistan and Pakistan, the first year people grew it and it worked out great, because it was from the same kind of latitudes.
Right.
You know what I'm
Same
saying?
environment. Is that why
Exactly.
you are on the south-facing slopes in Mendocino County? Because does that help you with the controlling the light of the sun? Because I know you're very passionate about sun-grown flower, and I know that you feel strongly
Well,
about it. I
yeah.
enjoy sun-grown flower. I feel like it's natural. Nothing can replicate the sun, and nothing can replicate nature. And I feel like the flower thrives more with the sun. But it's all opinions. And how do you feel about all that?
Well, it's not. There's actually scientific work being done on it, and of course, it's like when you're a little kid, or you go to grandma's house and she's got tomatoes in the backyard, and you're like, "Wow, I don't really like tomatoes from the store," but when you pick her tomatoes, what? You're like, "Oh my God!" It's the same thing. Any crop that's grown in biology, live soil, is gonna be so much better. I mean, indoors is some people very little, but some people do have an organic thing going. It's usually just small rooms, and I've seen some pretty good weed from indoors, but you can't get the full spectrum out of the plant unless it's from the sun. That's just straight up. The terpene levels, everything goes up outside as far as numbers.
And then location also is being on the south side of the Mendocino
Oh
Hill. Does
yeah.
that help you a lot with your flowers?
Yeah, that's very important to be on the south side of the hills in Mendocino County and anywhere actually, because when the when the plants start flowering, the more sun and warmth that you can keep them, the better chances that you're going to have less pathogens growing on your plants, like and whatnot. So yeah, more sun and different strains. Like I have some Moji Kush strains that prefer a little shadier environment. When I put them down in my really sunny garden, they're really finicky, and I have to put a shade cloth over them and watch them. But for the most parts, most strains really love lots of sun. It's just the big time heat waves like the one we just had.
Oof.
I imagine that could be harmful on a flower that's fully bloomed. Thank God it was early enough for us, and everything was small flowers. We're in the first few weeks of flowering,
Right.
so it didn't even affect them at all. We just kept the water on the whole time. We were 115 degrees. Yeah, we were 115 degrees, bro. So nobody likes that. I always tell people if you're out in your garden and you're uncomfortable, your plants are probably uncomfortable too.
That's a good
They
point.
like it 85. They like it 85, just like us.
They like it a little warm. Keep it warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've really been growing for 40 years, like cannabis. You've been growing the flower cannabis for 40 years.
Yes, well, in 1981, I went up to Humboldt County with my brother. He had a little spot in southern Humboldt that my mom was helping manage this big cattle ranch. So my brother knew where all the water was. He's like, "Well, come on up, and we'll grow this crop." So that was my first year. I moved up to Humboldt County, and we went out and just, did this really small little garden, and it turned out dank. And then
Do you remember what you
picked
grew?
up this. No, not bad. I got these seeds from these people that were already up here. So it's some random sack that someone gave me with some,
Right.
but it was good. And we only brought home 10 pounds. So that
only
was
10 pounds, no big deal in the 80s. Oh, it's just 10 pounds of fucking just no big deal.
Yeah, but yeah. So the real crazy whole thing, my wife and I, we were living on the river up in Humboldt County. It was a pretty nice life, but we were broke. And so one day
So
I
you've
was
been with
driving.
your wife since you started growing?
We both Same one, man. She's my best partner I've ever had.
That's
We've been growing
amazing.
together for 40 years. We both went to jail together for this plant.
What?
We've done everything. Yeah, we've done everything together with this plant.
Okay, yeah, I want to get into that. I want to get into that because I know, since you've been growing since the late 1900s, and there was a lot of like, government funded raids and operations and being up in the mountainside and outdoor. I'm sure there's helicopters always flying over, people coming in, chopping crops, raids happening. Were you affected? Were you a part of all of that? Was that something you experienced?
Absolutely, man.
Oh
I
man.
got up there in 1981, like I told you. In 1982, I bought a piece of property and had a great year. And then 1983, camp program started in 1982. That's campaign against marijuana planting. Started
Okay.
in 1982, but they didn't know what they were doing. They showed up in 1983 and it was all hell broke loose. I was on a subdivision with 80 parcels that were 40-acre parcels, and all of them had weed grown on them.
Oh my
And
God,
it
that's
was
so much work. What are you doing? That's a lot. That's
yeah,
so much work.
dude, it was the third week of September, so that's this week. Was the first they showed up and
In
they dropped
1983.
guy. Yeah, 1983. They showed up. They dropped guys down right next door to me. Me and my partner and Sue, we were all running up in the trees. And I just went over to a neighbor's house and bought some weed from them because they already harvested. So we were buying weed from the neighbors. We had
Right.
like these big sacks of weed and we're running from tree to tree. These helicopters are hovering over us, looking at us, laughing at us probably. And then they threw some red flags down into my garden and went away for the night. So we thought they were coming back for the rest of it. So we went out and I mean, there was like four of us. We went out and picked weed all night long until the sun came up, stashed it all. And then it started raining and they
Oh,
never came back. They never came
what?
back. So we get up and we go out to the gardens. We had weed all over the freaking place. We go back out there and we couldn't even tell where we've been harvesting. We were like, oh my God, we're in trouble here. We have so much weed here. And there's only four of us here. And we literally all night long we had four-wheelers and we were doing trips all night long trying to get, picking. And we could not tell the next day, like where we've been picking,
Where
and
you
then they
guys were
didn't
just
come back.
you guys just were
They didn't come
scatterbrained trying
back.
to save it, and there's red flags everywhere. You're like, they marked us, they're coming. But what are we
Yeah.
gonna fucking do? Let's get rid of all the evidence. And they never
Yeah.
came back.
They never came back. And we had a great harvest that year, man. It's like that was,
That's so crazy.
having that victory was awesome. So the next year it was 84, right? So our theme was grow more in 84.
Let's go. I
Because
love it.
see, my best friends up there was this big community of dreadlocks. These older guys that turned me on to everything, man. They got me my piece of property for me, gave me seed, told me everything how to grow in bulk like that. And they told me, he goes, look it, man, we got to plant more weed in 84. Let's give these guys, if they want to pick weed, let's make sure they got a ton of it to pick. So it was
Yes,
grow
more
more
in
in
84.
more in 84, dude. And then 1984, same thing, third week of September. They came, but this time they came loaded with 50 guys and they cleaned out the whole subdivision. There wasn't one plant left in the subdivision out of
Oh
80 parcels. Yeah. In
Do
2
you
days they
remember
spent in our
that
neighborhood.
third week of September? Oof.
Yeah. It was the third week of September, man. It's always a dead one.
Thank you. That's so 84, you grew more. They came and took it all. They just did like a
Took it all,
organized
man.
gang, just came and just robbed you
Took it
guys.
all.
Did you guys get arrested? Did you
Yeah.
guys deal with any?
No arrests. They didn't, of course we're out in the woods wearing total camo hiding. There's no way, they can find
Right.
us.
So then
So
85, you guys come alive?
Yeah, so 1985, man, me and my buddy, this famous guy up in Humboldt County, his name's Dumper Dave. And
Uh-huh.
Dumper, he was my mentor, man. And he came over one day and goes, dude, my buddies have airplanes in Garberville. Garberville's a little town in southern Humboldt. He goes, we're going to go flying over our gardens and see what we can see from the air. Let's go see what they can see and make adjustments accordingly.
And cover it.
So,
Like figure out how to
dude,
camouflage our weed. Man, y'all
we
are
did
pioneers in
that.
this shit, dog. I need to stand up real quick. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
man.
We got our own
Yeah.
planes, dude. We're gonna fly over our gardens and see how we're gonna stop this shit.
Yeah,
Let's
and
go.
we joined this organization called Citizens Observation Group, and we all were able to observe the cops making their bust. You know, so we put that on, and we had lawsuits against them because they came with no warrants.
And
They
this
came
is
with no
before,
warrants in
this is like
84.
no internet, no social media, no like let's link up and start a Facebook group. This is like we're in the streets,
Yep.
we're coming together, real life, making phone calls. Like this is physically happening.
Yep.
We're out in the streets, no cameras. We're taking
Yeah,
notes.
dude,
Man, Phil, I respect you
freaking
so
hippies,
much, dude.
dude, it was the hippies that were older than me, man. It was all the hippies, man, from the 60s that were living in Humboldt that started getting all this organization together. And we were just like, okay, we'll do that. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, but
They learned.
you know,
They learned from probably being forced in the army how to organize shit.
Exactly. Dude, in 1985, man, I didn't lose a plant.
We came back alive.
Not one plant. Dude, what we did is we grew in grow bags underneath the manzanitas. And when we knew the helicopters were coming because they would send fuel up at the local little town called Alder Point. And they'd bring fuel to the little airport up there. So that was telling us they're coming. They're bringing fuel and they're coming. So what we did is we'd go around and actually lay our plants on their sides. You mean?
That's crazy.
Lay them on the ground.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so anything like the helicopters were like going above the manzanitas and like trying to open up the leaves and stuff. But we had these things laying on the ground. So they just like, they couldn't see it. You know, it was totally freaking worked.
They thought they won and you guys stopped growing.
Yeah. The only problem we had in 85 was all the neighbors around me, 360, all lost their weed. So
because of
things
that raid?
got really weird.
Oh.
Yeah, because of that raid in 85, they all lost their weed still, but my herb was there and Dumper Dave's, his was still there. The only two gardens left. Yeah, dude, and it was a big problem, man. Neighbors started wondering who we were working for.
They thought you were the cops?
Yeah, they thought we were cops or something, you know. I was like, you know, they knew we'd come home from flying and the neighborhood knew that, oh, you guys are flying today. Everyone knew we knew over our stuff.
Did you tell them the tech? Did you be like, yo, we're trying to figure out how we can avoid these fools?
Totally. They knew what's up, but you know, back then
they were just haters.
Dude, there was a lot of people on cocaine.
Oof.
You know, there was a lot of drugs. You know, so between the drugs, and so, you know, it just started getting really negative and kind of funky. So it got to a point where me and the wife just like, you know, packed our bags and went back up to Lake Tahoe. And you know, whole different story starts from there, buddy.
And then, so here you are just growing. You have a passion for cannabis. You know the benefits. I mean, how were you in school? I mean, while you were growing weed, you said you were like 14, 16. Did you go through school? Were you like, did you finish high school?
You know, I went through school, and you know, when my parents got divorced, I got switched to another high school. So I was pretty much a loner. And so I played sports, you know, other than none of the kids weren't really friends. I mean, that much, you know, I was in a new high school, new kid. And, you know, so I was kind of a loner. So what I ended up doing is I got out of high school a year early and said, this isn't for me. I was way more mature than most of the kids. And
that's awesome.
I got to get out of here.
You already knew what you wanted. You figured it out. You hung out with the older sister's boyfriend. You're like, cannabis is my destiny. That is all. So you start growing. You get a part of this whole coalition. Shit gets weird. You're like, fuck this. I'm out. And are you still growing weed? You still have a passion for it? Because how are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
now? Are you in
yeah.
you're in the compliant market now, right?
Absolutely. No, not yet. Not yet. Absolutely. No.
Oh,
I never lost it. I didn't leave Humboldt County until I had another deal set up down in Calaveras County.
okay.
Calaveras County's in the center of California. But the deal was like the cops were getting thicker. They were getting thicker and thicker. They were on my case. They already knew they knew all about us. They tried to come up and get me a couple times up in Humboldt. So we kicked it out of there. My buddies started growing indoor in Tahoe, and they set me up with a house down in Calaveras County. So we started growing indoor, which was like, whoa, I don't know nothing about this. So, but it was
Did you
like
like it?
pretty much,
You don't sound too excited when you
well,
started talking about that. You're like, and then we started growing
well,
indoor.
because I went to jail for it.
You went to
See?
jail for growing weed indoors.
Yes. Yes.
So when you
So
were
I
doing the
don't
whole
have,
outdoor thing, growing on mountainsides, acres of outdoor, they just maybe you got raided a couple times, but never got arrested. But when you went
yeah,
indoors, that's when shit got
yeah, yeah,
fucked.
yeah. I got, what I did, I started racing cars, and I was ski racing and
Oh,
racing cars. And I needed more. The racing cars thing was like doing heroin. So I was like looking for more money, and I got into the wrong people with the indoor and, the whole thing. We had a big old outdoor going to, and they just totally, these kids totally opened their mouth. They went into town, they blabbed about their nice plants, and,
yeah.
so they got the big outdoor thing. I wasn't even part of it. I was just helping them manage it a little bit.
Like a
And it
consultant.
brought it all. Yeah, just brought it. Yeah, dude. A kid went into a freaking loggers bar in
Ugh,
Georgetown, California, which is redneck city, and started bragging about his 6-foot plants that he had in June. And so
and
it
of
started
course,
the
there's
whole
some
investigation.
fucking law enforcement in there chilling, enjoying a beer. Like, okay, little boy, tell me more.
Yeah, it was really dumb. But so I was in the system for 6 years total. I did 1 year
Oof.
in jail and then 5 years probation. So those 5 years was really tricky. I wasn't growing herb then, but I was like still, I was still
Yeah.
making a little money on selling
Consulting.
it up in Tahoe. Yeah, I was consulting up in Tahoe just
Yeah.
to keep everything into it, And then
Yeah.
the
We got
day
to eat.
the day I got off probation, we went back up to Humboldt County and leased a piece of property in like what was that 90? I'm thinking 97. Went back up and leased a piece of property 1 year or 2 years. Had 2 good years. The weed was 4,800 a pound.
And what were you growing at this time?
We were growing. It started, the strain. It was like we were starting to get those medical cards are starting to come out. So there were some strains actually coming out with names like, like we went back. I went back up to Dumpers my first day back up to Humboldt, and I got the Skunk One seed. So we had the Skunk
Love
One
it.
seed. Yeah, we had the Jack Hare seed or clones
Love it.
actually. We got the Jack Hare. Let me see. I can't really think of some other names that we had. We had some Jagu. You know what the Jagu? We
That's
had
a
a strain that was,
JAH, right?
yeah, yeah.
I think I've
It's
had
out of
that. That's like a
Covelo.
North. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Jack Hare, really nasty smelling thing. But we had a couple of those, but mainly we were growing the Afghanis and Packy. That was the main seed. And that when you came home, you just sold, yeah, this is Packy or this is Afghani. But I'd come home my first year up there going back. I came home with 10 pounds again, and I made
Magic number.
$48,000. Yeah,
What?
$48,000. I made
On 10
$48,000 on 10 pounds.
on a 10
Yeah.
pack.
Yeah, on a 10 pack.
Bro, those were
Yeah.
good times.
Yeah, those are good times.
How is it
And
now?
then
Not like that.
no, you're lucky, like I have some AAA light dep I just picked and it's going for 500.
It's crazy now, dude. Listen, I
Yeah.
know, like, I feel like I could talk to you for hours, Phil. I know you
Oh
probably have a
yeah.
bunch of stories, and I know we just got the tip of the iceberg right here on the Legacy
Totally.
Cannabis Podcast, but I know we have a certain time that we're trying to keep it with. I just want to
Yeah,
give
dude.
I just want to say thank you from me, and I'm sure everyone out here who consumes cannabis. All the growers out there, especially you, for being a pioneer and making it happen and staying consistent, even after growing more in '84 and getting all that shit gone, and the '83 struggle you had, and then staying alive in '85 and dealing with all the obstacles with the community and everything you dealt with during the whole, I mean, when they had a whole drug raid, there was a whole program against fucking
Oh
weed
yeah.
growers. And I mean, now it seems like you're chilling, bro. You're in a nice living room, dining room area. The sun is shining. How is it now? What you got? You still got an outdoor? You got
Yeah.
it says
Yep. I've got
10,000 acres. Is
my.
that real?
I have I have
Or
200
10,000 square
acres.
feet?
Yeah, I have 10. Yeah, in Mendocino County, we're only allowed to go 10,000 feet, which is, if that's great. Any more than that, the product goes down. We can grow, we can keep that, just me and my wife, we can keep that going in my yard. We can keep it going and grow AAA. That's
Yeah.
the thing. In the future, there's only going to be a certain amount of these 10,000 square foot farms, and that's where the best weed in the world is going to come from.
Yeah, I think
This
like craft
year.
cannabis is a little bit better than when they blow out whole mountainsides or
Oh
fucking
yeah,
warehouses and
yeah.
all that.
Well, we just won the California State Fair for the highest THC level in sun-grown cannabis.
Hold on, I need to stand up real quick. Hold on. I know they're telling me to wrap up, but I need to finish this, Phil. Hold on
Okay.
one second.
Yeah,
You said the
yeah.
California State Fair, not like a cannabis show, not like something like a can. This is a California State Fair issued by the state of
Exactly.
California,
Yeah,
and
the
they
state of
recognize
California.
cannabis.
Yeah,
And you got an
there's the gold
award
medal.
recognized by the state of California
Yes.
for what? Terpenes?
No, the highest THC level in the sun-grown category.
Highest percentage.
Yes.
Can we get a round of applause?
Yeah.
We got an award winner here. We got an award winner. That wasn't in my notes, dude. I thank you for that. I know,
Yeah.
I don't like to gloat sometimes, but that's a great thing a great accomplishment, man. So congratulations on
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Can
thank
you
you.
just wear it real quick? Just wear it for the rest of the interview. It's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't judge, dude. Put
Absolutely.
that on. Oh yeah, that stoner bling.
I,
What?
I was yeah, exactly. I was at the state fair for 11 days in a row preaching people about sun-grown cannabis.
Listen,
And
on a blind taste test, I'm sure a lot of people will prefer sun-grown over indoor. They just don't realize it.
yeah,
And
more and more people are getting on board.
it's just about education. You know what I'm saying? Everyone thinks indoors the best, but the only reason why they went indoors is because of everything you experienced in the late 1900s with growing outdoors.
Oh, exactly. It's some
Yeah.
some of the most gorgeous looking flowers I've ever seen came from indoor. Super pretty. But the
Yeah.
thing is, they're so pretty, I'm expecting it to be super dank, and then I take one or two hits off it and I'm like, this ain't it.
Disappointing.
Salt.
A little underwhelming.
Yeah. Especially when it's so beautiful like that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You
I call it like internet weed or magazine weed. It looks good in pictures, but it's not really good for the real consumer.
Call it Instagram weed.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like to say Instagram though, because they're kind of lame, but it's okay. It's like a necessary evil. This is me talking Adam Hill. I don't represent, my opinion is my own, not representative of anything I work with.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Hey, so I know you got a family business. I just want to touch base on this before we get out of here. I know you got your daughters involved with the whole farm now, like a true family business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my older daughter, she's the one that's brought this this system that we're doing now to our full term, where it's a no-till system. and you just add it's layering. So the last 5 years, she's educated me a lot. Her degrees in college. She's got 3 degrees. She's going for another one here, but all her degrees is sustainable farming, forest management, and regenerative farming. That's all.
Let's go. That's
about.
everything you need, dude. You about to grow forests and have the best soil that you're gonna keep using, dog.
Exactly.
Let's go. She's the next generation.
She knows the notes, right? She knows the chemistry. I know the music, and she knows the notes, man. And
that's amazing. Dude.
So my younger daughter is a wildlife biologist, and she's going back to college for grad school now. So she takes care of all our CEQA, all the environmental impact reports that we have to do. So she takes care of all that, and we make sure the wildlife's happy around here.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Well,
yeah,
it's so great to have you on the show and for spending time and talking about it. I feel like we could talk for hours about everything, but
absolutely.
It's awesome to speak to you and send your wife our regards too, because you guys were in it together since the beginning, and you're still making it happen.
She's all part of this, man. We're 50-50 on everything. She's awesome. A badass woman.
Where can people find you? Do you have social media, website?
Yeah, we're MendocinoFamilyFarm.com is our website, and then we're on Instagram. It's at Mendo Family Farm.
Mendo Family Farm on Instagram, Mendocino Family Farms on the web. I'm sure there's a link to your IG from the web, and vice versa.
Yes, sir.
Phil, yes, sir. It's an honor. I appreciate you. I can't wait to try some of your fresh, organic, sun-grown south side of Mendocino mountains flavors, man.
Yeah, dude. We got them happening for sure. If you're anywhere near the area, come on by.
Well, RMR is everywhere, especially with this North American Weed Tour, because we're covering everything all across the country with content and reviews and podcasts for the rest of the year. So I appreciate you being a part of it and being a part of the Legacy Cannabis Podcast, dude.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah. And I want to give a quick shout out to not only to you, but to all the growers out there. If I don't give a fuck if it's 1 plant or 10 plants or 100 plants, a mountainside, indoor, outdoor, a basement, whatever it is, we appreciate you because you guys, without you, Phil, and without the growers, none of us would be out here smoking and enjoying this life, having this lifestyle and being a part of this culture. So thank you guys for keep on making it happen, especially with all the obstacles you faced.
Thank you, sir.
Hell yeah. Once again, respect my region, the Legacy Cannabis Podcast. My name is Adam Mill. Until next time, we'll see you, okay? Check out the other shows, too. Yeah. Bye.